Hey, buddy. So this one's working now.
This is working?
Yeah. Hopefully people will find it. I have no idea what the difference is.
Okay, that's really
But I
strange.
can see myself now when I look on the actual YouTube link. I genuinely have no idea what the other
Let me
one is.
just
But
let me just look at my screen. Yeah, it's working right now.
yeah. Well, learn something new every day. I'm not going to repeat everything that we said before.
Yeah,
That will just exist as a. I have no idea even if the other one, to be honest, is like on the channel or whatnot. But hopefully, people will find their way over here.
I would just change the link right
Link in
now.
the
So
community, and
yeah,
then we can get started showing some stuff.
yeah.
One of my cats wants to be fed anyway right now. But yeah, thank you to Curzo. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right, apologies. But to everybody who pointed that out to us. Otherwise, I probably would have done the whole hour without realizing.
Yeah, sure. Because there's someone was just wrote.
Is it
There's
just
no video. Yeah, and I was just wondering what video he's talking
yeah?
about. What is going on? But
Cool. Well, let's. So I guess let's I'll tell me when you've posted that link, and then we'll just dive right in.
yeah, you can just begin.
Okay. So I will start sharing my screen for whoever's here or watching again. And what we're going to be starting today with is we're going to start with something, and then we'll show you how it's built. So I'll start with the end result, which is something that we've built just to kind of help to centralize kind of some of these resources and things that we're doing on the live stream in kind of a more centralized way, because I know stuff kind of gets scattered around the community. And then what we'll do is we'll actually show you how we built this, because this is a web app in FlutterFlow. So for those of you who want to check it out, I'll pop the link in the comments. We'd appreciate any feedback on it, but I'm hoping this will kind of be a nice little resource that people can use. So what we'll do here, it's just like a little feed where the first post here is one that was actually a solution I came up with for a problem that David Vargas in the community had, which was about how you merge if you have, for instance, a collection of photo albums, and each of those photo albums has a field with a list of images, how you can actually display all of those lists of images together in one single grid view. Unfortunately, that's not possible right now, like just with the default options in FlutterFlow, but it's very easy with a little piece of code that we've written and we're hoping to get up on the marketplace. So what we've done is we created kind of a thing so that to show actually how that's working. The cool thing about, and we'll show you how this is built in a minute, is that these things are these step-by-step tutorials that we're hoping to put up are actually created not just in FlutterFlow, but they're entirely dynamic. So they're entirely set from the back end. We've included like little screenshots. The idea being that hopefully we can. No, I can't quit. Just like a double. Try that again. See, there's little bugs like that because I haven't tested it now. But then also like a little paste bin of when we're doing custom functions, so that they're easier to kind of copy and paste. And then hoping to put in some kind of videos showing you what the final result looks like, etc., etc. And then also. Then we'll also try to, when it's in the marketplace, have a link to the marketplace. In this case, it's not yet because it's still waiting for approval. But we've included a little link to a demo of what this actually does. So again, this is querying collections where you have, for instance, photos that are each individual in an album, each different. And then you actually have that merged list all together here of all of those individual albums. So, and as I said, we'll try to get that on the marketplace as soon as it gets approved. Fingers crossed. Hopefully, we'll see. But I thought what was kind of cool about this is to actually show how we've built this in the back end. The reason being that, which you think is more interesting, Dimitar, this one or the survey one? It's kind of the same thing either way.
I think both are interesting, but probably the survey.
Okay,
It's
so I'll walk
better.
through another similar one that we've done that maybe is more useful. This is one I built for a client. So essentially what you have here is a survey. I know I've seen lots of people asking about questions and answers. So again, what you're actually seeing here on this page right now, you are seeing, which could be any kind of survey you want. So for right here, it's an onboarding process. So everything from that first click is actually set dynamically. So what you're seeing here is a page view, and page views can be set from a query in Firebase. So what we've done here is we've actually gone and if I can find my back end. That's fine.
So you're using Rowy. So can you just say a little bit about
sorry,
that?
for those of you who don't know Rowy, I feel like I talk about it every week. But, Rowy is a way, if you ever use Airtable, it's like Airtable for Firebase. So it's a really nice, easy way rather than using the console to interact with your Firebase data. Both when you're in production and when you're in testing, you can basically just link tables to your Firebase collections, and then you're going to see all of that data directly here. So for instance, in this instance, I have forms. So that survey that we're looking at is set from here. This is a collection in my Firebase called forms. There is a sub collection called questions, which is here. So this survey that you're looking at has essentially 11 questions, which you see reflected here in the number of questions. What's really cool about this is that if we actually change the type of question, we have the options here, the type and the order it's coming in. So if I change this now to drop down, and then we go back here, it would really help if I remembered which was which. Did I spell drop down right? I had some, as Apple would call it, fearless feedback, which is that I go faster than I can think, and that's probably true. Oh yeah, drown. It would help if I typed drop down.
Yeah, you should write another one for drop drown, right?
Yeah. So that same question, same options, has now changed to a drop down type question, and then the rest of them are all like radio. But I think I also built it to allow, for instance, for the next question, we could change it to be a comment that's going to display as. My memory is like 30 seconds. Every time I click the tab, I click the wrong one. Now, because I've set that one as a comment, it's now displaying it to this. And it's actually capturing that data in a different way, depending on which type of widget it is. So to show you a little bit about how that's built without going into all of the nitty-gritty details, let's go and look at actually what's behind the scenes there. And
you're actually doing this with conditional visibility, right?
Yeah, essentially, yeah. So the two key components, I guess, here are one, using a page view or something like that to display, it could even be a list view or a column, but essentially to set one component for each question, yeah? So if we go and look at the page itself here, I think it's called survey, I hope. Exactly. So this is the entire page that we were looking at.
Sorry, there was a question from
yeah.
Kerzo, and he asked, did you launch the web app through Firebase? And I think the answer is yes, right?
So the web app is actually deployed through FlutterFlow. If that's what you mean. It's using Firebase at the back end, but I'm actually using the web publishing feature, which you can now do. I'm just waiting for them to give us custom domains, which they say are coming soon.
I think that was the question then.
Yeah. So what we have here is the main block. Essentially, you've got, as I said, the page view, which is querying the collection of questions, essentially, for any given form, and ordering them based on the index number. And then we have everything else is inside of one component. And inside of that component, as you can see, we have all the different types of inputs. And we're literally just controlling the visibility based on what type of question it is, essentially. Similarly, we have, for instance, it will always say next here, rather than complete until it gets to the last question. And then we have a kind of dynamic input, both to check if it's the last question, if it's required to put this kind of logic here to show some sort of snack bar saying you need to complete it. If those kind of conditions are met, it's creating an answers document so that each answer is stored individually. And then it's executing, a callback and a... so yeah, any questions?
So you're using one custom widget, custom function, sorry.
There's a few custom functions in here, actually. The biggest one probably is this one, which has a little bit of null safety. Maybe it provides a nice little transition point here. Okay. So this is the one that captures the input. Obviously, when you're setting something, you need to set it from widget state, but not all of those widgets are going to be there. There will essentially be one of 4 different types of widgets. There's either going to be the inputs coming from my dropdown, my radio, my text, or my comment, which is just a larger text box. So you need to have null safety there in order to stop it breaking. So what you have here, if you can see this, I'm trying to make it maybe a bit bigger. We're using the same thing that we keep talking about. So I'm creating fake variables essentially for each one of those inputs, linking them to the actual inputs, which are the widget states. And then if they're not existing, putting this empty value. Then in determining which one to actually return and add to the Firestore document, what I'm doing here is a simple chain of if statements. So if question type equals radio, then take the answer from the radio widget, if it down and so on and so forth, and then providing a fail safe of if everything broke, just provide a blank input for some reason, which would be the case potentially if it was not a required question. So
yeah, to be honest, if you can I just give you an advice of that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is that because you have 4 if, can you just open the code again?
Yeah, of course.
Because you have 4 ifs, and you said you have a backup plan, but actually your backup plan in this particular case, the backup plan will only work for the last if, which is the comment. So it will just actually say if it's not comment, then return empty string. So if you want to
return these, doesn't it check these in order? So doesn't it go if it's radio, return this, and then it will go if it's text, return this. So it will get to that by default, right?
Yes, you're right. You're right.
Tell me if I'm wrong. If there's something I can.
No, you're right. In theory, you're right. But the thing, I think the best thing that everyone will write, like every developer will write this, is just have if and then if else and then if else, and finally we'll have instead of if we'll have if else. So you should write else and then if else if.
So like here, doing like that.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Then,
so it's just no, without the no, not else, but just else and then if without the curly braces. Yeah, like that. Yes, like that.
Like that? Really? That's a thing? I have never known that's a thing.
Yes, you can just write the Dart.
Wow.
If else, and then you can, and then
you blow my mind, Dimitar.
So basically you have if, and then if else, if else, if else. At the end of the day, you have else. So it's just checking if it's radio. Okay, it's not. Then it's checking if it's a test. No, it's not. Then
basically, for each one of these, I should write else if in front of it.
Yeah, I think this is the way how I will do it. So
this breaks my app, Dimitar. I'm coming for you.
Or there is actually another way to write this.
How's that?
And there is the switch statement. Did you use the switch statement?
No. What is a switch statement?
And the switch statement is just, in reality, you just write switch. But I think the best thing is just because of the syntax. Can you just open a new tab and just write Dart switch,
Yeah.
and it will just you just see basically the.
Should I not be doing this on a production app?
Yeah, I think it's the best way to do it. So I don't think there is any problem with that, to be honest. But yeah, this is the idea. So you have the switch, and then you have what you are searching for, and then you have cases. And you have one case, for example, in your case is drop down, and then the other case it's what else? You have command, and finally you have the default statement. So in the default statement, you would just return the empty string.
Okay, so basically I have switch type
Yes.
equals case.
Without the no, just case. In this case, it's a switch, and then here you just have the case. Can you just switch on your code
case,
again?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Can you just switch on your code?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in this case, you have this question type. So you have switch, and
Yeah.
then this question type, just that.
Like that.
No, in your case, it's a question type, right? Like what you
I
have
see.
in the
Like this, yeah.
yes, here, yes, here, yeah, and then two dots, or how do you say this?
Yeah.
Double dots, and then you write on the next line, you write case, and then you write with string radio, so the same way that you write it in the
Like this, yeah.
inside the string. No, just write it inside the string case. Radio, yes.
Yeah.
And then two dots again, and then on the next line you write your logic. So it's return result radio.
Something like that, yeah. Result radio.
And then on the you have. Can you just see the syntax
Breaking
again?
my
Because,
optimism.
no, it's just you don't have the curly braces. You need the curly braces, of course. Yeah.
Oh, of course.
I forgot.
I was doing exactly what you told me to. Where do I need curly braces?
I think the both places you need the curly braces.
So like this?
Here, but after the two dots. So you have the two dots, and I think after that there are curly braces. Because every language is a little bit different. So
why don't I copy and paste the syntax here, and then maybe I see no.
Yeah, you can just copy and paste it. Yeah, you can just copy and paste. I think you can copy and paste the whole thing. I think it would be better, isn't it?
Because I'm not committed to this. Yeah, I want to keep my options open.
and then you can
on this better method.
you need to write the curly braces at the beginning and at the end on the line 20. Just close the curly braces because it's not okay. And now just write here. It's a question type. Yes, and the other it's radio.
Radio.
No, just radio string. The string radio.
Okay, like that. Okay.
Yes, and then here it says it should
return
be
result
return.
Radio,
Yes.
right?
Yes, exactly.
Here.
Yeah. So you have two possible.
Break do?
Break is actually saying to the code to just go to just break from the switch statement, because what you can actually have, two cases at the same time. So in reality, you can just say, I want, for example, I'll just give you an example. I want when I have the radio and when I have the drop down, I want to return the radio, for example. In this case, you don't need this, but in this case, you can just write it. So in this case, if you want to do this, you can just write case radio and then return result, and then case radio and then return result, and then break it. So
I can basically just keep repeating this like that.
Yeah, if you write right now, yes, exactly, and then just write
like drop down or something.
Yeah, exactly.
And then return result drop down.
Yes.
Or drown down if I can't type it in.
Yeah, so this is actually the same logic. So it's absolutely the same thing, and the code is doing exactly
Well,
the same thing.
thank you. I'm going to comment this out.
Yes.
But I will come back to this.
Or you can just delete it.
No, because I want to keep it because you told me how to format it correctly. If I go back to the other example, I won't remember.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just going to comment all this out. Really
Okay,
quickly.
there is one question just came
Yeah.
here. What's the name of the AR table for
Oh, it's
Firebase 2?
called Rowy. If you go to, if I find the right thing, rowy.io. It's really easy. It takes like 5 minutes to set up. So you can just do the get started. They also have like a little playground where you can see the kind of things that are possible. Rowy is just really cool because it allows you to do a lot of stuff in like if you've ever wanted something to happen automatically, like let's say for instance, I have on this, every time a new form is created, I want to send a push notification or something to somebody else. Yeah. You can actually do that with these things called tasks. So you can have trigger events. For instance, this means that every time a new document is created in a collection, and then and you can even set like, that it has to have, a title or whatever. You can set some extra conditions, but basically you get to run then what are called Firebase Cloud functions in the background. So you can write, in this example, they've got sending a Discord message to a channel every time that a new document is created. So this stuff is, unfortunately, this is written in JavaScript, which I suck at. And
So basically, this is like the make that we saw, I think, last week.
Yeah, exactly. It's a little bit more manual, maybe, but essentially, it's just directly integrated with Firebase. So it's really cool if you're also looking to ever keep track of a count or something like that. It's really helpful for that because again, you can have every time a new document is created. I have, for instance, somewhere in here, maybe not set up. I have something that's that adds a count to the new user. Every time that a new user document is created, I add one. And then I also have some logic to like check every day or some. You can have tasks run on a daily or weekly cycle. So I would definitely, if you guys are interested, we can do a full kind of deep dive on. I can prepare some examples on what's possible with Rowy. They're a really great team, and yeah, I would highly recommend it. They even have your favorite. I think they have some OpenAI stuff here somewhere.
Nice. I love OpenAI.
Hopefully that answers the question. Also, country flag. This one's nice.
Yeah, and Chris wrote, I always get busted with listing rules to add the control flow braces in versus code. So I guess he's talking about braces. So
yeah,
I think there is actually a solution for that. I'm 100% sure. Okay, 99% sure that you can actually take this code and go and get, if there is some error and you don't know how to fix it, you can actually get this code and just put it in OpenAI and just say, fix this code for me, and he'll fix it.
I like this website. This is kind of, but it's not my favorite. My favorite one for anyone out there who's like me and struggles. This was the website I used to kind of figure stuff out. W3 Ada Dart. I don't know. This is what, and the reason I like this one was just because they provided not those kind of generic examples. Like, for instance, if we go and look at if statements, they provide a lot of ads that you have to click through. But they actually provide these, which I find so much more useful. Rather than what we were looking at here, where it's very like, to me, I find this really hard to read and to understand versus this. For this
they have, I think they have the switch statement as well, right? If you can search for it, and so you can just see.
I just never. I stopped once I got this.
There's the switch here. Yeah, so we could just see the comparison of the two sides, but yeah, it's cool. It's great that they have a visual.
It's much more, because like for me, just my stupid non-developer brain, this makes more sense. I'm like,
and if you go back,
string value goes there.
Yeah, and if you go back to the diagram, actually, because the diagram, it's just go up a little bit. Yeah, this diagram actually, it's a great also explainer for me as well, because you can see how the code is going from the start and then going inside the switch and then go to the case one and just checking if it's the case one, then go inside the case one. So it's great to have that as well.
Cool.
And yeah.
Well, I think I've taken up way too much more of our time than I planned. So over to you, Dimitar, and
Yeah,
let's
so
null
just
safety again.
so just try to share my screen. I think it will work. Do you see my screen right now?
When I enable it, when I give you power, yeah.
Give you power.
Uh,
Okay, give me power. Okay, do you see it right now? Or
yep, yep.
yeah, so you can see here right now it says version 3 of FlutterFlow September 2nd. The last time they updated 3.5. 305. So I think today or tomorrow, probably they have to update it if they stick to the plan to enable Null Safety for all projects, as they said like 1 month ago. So expect actually to I expect the new version of FlutterFlow, in which the new version we can expect that if you go to the app details, this no safety will be enabled by default. So first thing first, when you have not enabled a no safety and you if you actually end up tomorrow, for example, so I would just say no safety, and for example, if tomorrow you end up having the no safety enabled, but you didn't know what is going on, and you have like a bunch of errors and black screen and gray screen and red screen and whatever. You can actually follow this video, I think, and this will actually help you. It should actually help you if you have any errors. But I think in reality, if you don't have a lot of custom code, reality you should be good to go. The whole idea is FlutterFlow to actually do it for you instead of you. So I think in the most cases you're up to go, but for those who wants to be sure and wants to actually do it manually before the automatic update, this is how you can do it. Again, we already did that, but I just want to go this
Because
because I
today
have
is the final
yes,
day.
yes,
Adding
and
JSON, sorry, one second. Adding JSON data in post API demo would be great if you have time available. So adding a demo for that, yeah. And if you provide a little bit more details on that, you mean JSON field in post? So like how you can post a JSON somewhere? We can definitely add that to the list. Mr. Dimitar is the API king, so I will
yeah,
add to his list for next week to
yeah,
provide
we
some
can.
demo.
Yeah, of course, we can definitely do that. So first thing first, you have to actually save this. So inside the versions, you have to save your project, because if something breaks or something get wrongs, you have to have a version so you can go back to it if something is not working. So in my case here, I have like a bunch of custom code. I have like custom functions. I have custom widgets. I have custom actions. So if I go over here and then enable the no safety and then go back, because here you can actually see, I didn't actually talked about it, but here you can see, because I have the warnings, and the warnings, I have 12 warnings, and I have warnings because when I go to the one of the codes that I have, I actually enable the execute from uh, compilations. So in my case, because I'm using some random code, not random, but some code that it's not accessible outside this box. And this code actually it's out like I don't know, 4 months ago or something like that. And they actually changed a lot of things since that. But here right now you can see that I have obviously I have errors because I enabled the no safety, and those are the errors that you can expect when you enable the no safety, or when you wake up tomorrow and you have any errors. Those are actually the errors that you can expect. And right now I had like 12 errors, the warnings, sorry, not errors but warnings, because I executed from
Exclude, yeah.
Excluded, sorry, yeah, excluded for
Compilation.
compilation. Yeah. So when you go right now and you enable the Null Safety, here I have 2 errors only. So if I click on the one of the errors, it says it needs to be checked for errors. So okay, I can just wait, and it's strangely enough, the one of the errors is gone. And then I have here, I have another error, which is the custom widgets, and I have to check it for errors again.
But you
And they
haven't
will
actually
just
done the migrate to null safety, right? Because that's the big button up there at the top.
yes, you have that option as well, and we can
What's
just
the
try it.
difference?
So the difference here is that if you click on the migrate to Null Safety, it will actually try, the FlutterFlow will try actually to migrate your custom code
Oh, so if
automatically.
you don't do that, it's just it takes it as it is. It doesn't make any changes to it, essentially.
Yes, yes. So you can actually do this yourself if you know what you're doing. The whole idea is actually to do this yourself, and
We have a question, Dimitar, which is, what does this null safety mean? Okay, we'll go through this again. So, good question. Null safety is something that will be enabled for everybody's projects. Maybe you can pull up a quick example, Dimitar, while I'm talking. So, null
yeah,
safety essentially allows you to provide default values in your custom actions, custom functions. If you don't use any custom functions, if you don't use any custom code, you really don't need to worry about it so much, but you should be using custom code because it's kind of easy and it allows you to add a lot more power. And what null safety does is it allows you to provide your function with a default value, essentially. So the example I often use is the birthday one, which is that if you're looking to show your user's birthday in the UI, but there may be some users that have not actually entered a birthday yet, right now it would kind of break because it won't know what it'll be looking for a document. Your function will be requiring some input that does not exist, and it would give a null error. This is what generally causes gray screens in your app. Null safety allows you to prevent this. So if you were here earlier in the example I was showing with the survey and stuff like that, obviously there were 4 different types of inputs for widgets. And when I was saving the answer with the done button, I wanted to take only the one from the one that was actually used, whether it was a drop-down input, a text field input. The other 3 were essentially null. Without null safety, that wouldn't have worked. Null safety allows you to say, if this doesn't exist, use this value instead. And there are a few ways you can do that. The easiest one is just with this double question mark notation, which I think Dimitar is kind of starting to show on the screen right here. But essentially what you're doing is for every input into one of your custom functions or custom widgets or custom, if you have null safety enabled, you can provide a default value. And that will stop it breaking in cases where that value does not exist at the time the function runs. Hopefully
yeah.
that makes sense. This will be something that, as I said, it's been kind of optional for FlutterFlow projects, but as of this week, it will be mandatory. So that's why we kind of every week cover it to try to help people out. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, so just to show with the code what you just talked about, just to show with the code is actually those drop downs. They will just show in your custom code. So wherever you're using a custom function, I think all of them, right? Custom function, custom action, and custom widget. So we'll just see this new knowable, which essentially is just asking you if the, for example, in this case over here, if the return type, do you accept that return type to accept no? So do you want this return type to return no? And it's actually here as well with the arguments. So it's the same thing. Do you accept no as an argument? So what that means is that when, for example, you have a name function, so this is a no safety name of the function, and you're accepting a name, so a name of the person, for example, and the only thing that you can see from here right now is that it's no, it's a question mark. So if it doesn't have a question mark, it's so for example, if I don't accept no safety and I go to the code, there's the question mark, it's gone. But if I accept a no safety over here, the question mark will be visible. That's because the code is saying that, yes, I accept a no from this name. So what that means is that, for example, like you said, if there is a form like for the birthday, or if there's a form that some user wrote the name. There's actually just to say a little bit about that. There's actually a difference between no and an empty string. So those two actually are not the same thing. No is actually a value that it's not declared, and an empty string is an empty string. So um, so for example, when you have when you have something like fill the name, and someone doesn't fill the name, you get actually an empty string from that
Mhm.
widget. Or I think this is the right thing from FlutterFlow, right,
Yeah,
George?
exactly.
Yeah,
So for string values, it normally doesn't cause so much gray screen of death. What
yeah,
normally will cause the issues is when you're working with integers that are not there, or date and time objects, timestamps. So that's why I always
yeah,
use the birthday example, because if that's not there, it doesn't have Flutterflow doesn't kind of save you and bail you out. Whereas for a string value, if it's not there, it just puts an empty string.
yeah. And also, I think from if you're receiving something from an API or from Firebase, I think as well, right?
Yeah.
If you're receiving something that, for example, if this name is coming from an API call or from Firebase, and you don't have this at all, you actually get a no value here. So at the end of the day, you just have this name equals to no, and here it will be no. And if you have a no value, you actually, the best thing, the best solution to deal with it is to have a default value. And most of the time, when you have a no value, for example, in the name, you can just ignore it and just get with an empty string. It most of the cases it will just work. But you can, of course, you can just say, okay, I want my default value to be John, for example. So when there is not a name at all, you can just stick with John. So, for example, or just have like your example in the birthdays, you can just put some random date that you think it's a date, because I think
Jesus
if you
birthday.
because because if your code is expecting a date, and you're just getting an empty string or something like that, or a number, your code will just broke again, right? Because
And the whole
you're
string
just
will fail essentially.
yeah, because you're just expecting a date, and you need a date. So you just, in this case, you just randomly put some random date, like today date or whatever, like some date. So essentially, this code right here is just saying, like I said, because we're talking about the code, and I said that the code is executed from from top to bottom and from right to left. We can just talk briefly about that right now, because this is important as well to get into the concept of how the code is working. It's actually, you can just uh, think about this code like executing like uh, that in this case. So first it's executing this part. The code is coming over here, and just it says if this is no, this code is actually saying just check if this value is no. It's I think this will, I'm not sure, but I think this will only work in no. If it's on empty string, I think it will not work. And it's just saying here, yeah, it's just saying the same thing. So this is only working with no. So if it's no, then it will work. It's just something else, it will not work. So this is only working when it's no. So it's just checking if this is no, and if it's not, and if it's no, it's just get the empty the default value, which in this case is an empty string. And then when the code execute this part, the code is going over here on the left side and just assign this value to this uh, variable. So it's yeah, it's actually just first is executing the right side of the equal sign and then assigning it. This is important.
Ah, now I get it. You know where this
Yes.
actually comes up for me a lot. Let's say you're doing something where you want to get the name field from a Firestore document, or I have a tutorial which a lot of people ask about filtering lists from Firebase and stuff like that. So I often do this, like take everything from my list of document results and then do where name equals John, right? And I use this, the whatever my document dot notation. So this dot and then name field. And that's why it always gives the error, because it's like, this could be null. It's because it's reading it from right to left. Now I finally understand, I think.
Yes, because it's actually confusing for a lot of people, and for me it was confusing at the beginning, because you just see that and you see name, and then you see this part of the code, and I think most of the people are just thinking, okay, name is equal to
exactly.
Okay, but what in this case, right? So the code needs to execute first the right part, and then assign it to the left part. Yes, it's a hack, but it's good to know about this, I think. So and this is what I wanted to talk. Also, it's about the if statement. So this thing is the same as this thing. So it's basically, this is only written in one line. And here is actually, it's complaining. It says that don't use no. Generally, the code here is saying that if you write no, the code will complain and say, why you're writing no? This is not good. I mean, you don't expect no, and why you're even bothering to write?
Because essentially you've controlled for it already once, so it's reading again from top to bottom. So it's like, it can't possibly be null because you've already controlled for that above. So why are you checking again, right?
It's complaining about the other thing, because it says prefer using two question marks equals over testing for no. So here is just what it's actually saying for me is just saying, okay, instead of this if, then use it like that. So use it like that.
Yellow ones are helpful. They won't break anything, but they...
Yeah, but if I use it like that, like this, the suggestion over here, because I'm using this suggestion, is the same thing. And then it says the left operator cannot be no, so the right operator is never executed. So what it's basically saying, that this part over here cannot be no, so this will never execute it. So at the end of the day, here, this will work, but it will complain. So if you don't like code to complain to you, just delete this one, and then leave it only. You leave it only like that. So this is the best.
Question mark. That's the moral of the story is double question mark is the way to go.
Yes, this is what I end up using most of the time, and
I have to admit, I've started to use it more now too. It is more efficient.
Yes, so if there's someone coder or developer out there that have a better solution for that, just write in the comment. I'll be happy to know about it. But at the end of the day, my code is right now, if I go to settings, and here you can see that I enable the Null Safety. So I go over here, you can see that I have the Null Safety over here. So if I go over to this code over here, so this actually right now can be no. So the media path can be no, but here I'm actually in this particular function, I'm just checking if it's not no. So this is here is not complaining because I'm checking.
You've already put in a safety.
Because I'm already checking. Yeah, I'm already checking because I think I was thinking that this will come in the future, so that's why I did that. But you can actually do this. I think you can actually do this as well. So you can just if we just go with the name. So if I just go back with the name argument that we did, I think we could just say name, and then if it's not equal to no, and I think this should work. Let me just check it out. So if I just like that, yeah. So basically here is just saying, okay, return the name, but just only return it if it's not no. So if it's no, then don't return it. And this will work as well. But here, because I here because I don't expect to have a no value, as a return type. So this code will work.
I think it might be good if we start putting some of these code examples into, and you guys tell us if it is or not, but I'm not sure whether in my community I see like a section for null safety. I'm not sure if everybody sees that or if it's just me. I don't know, but I think it would be good if we started posting some of these, and you guys can help by just asking some of these questions as well, because again, there's only 2 or 3 or 4, 5, whatever kind of common situations that I think if we start having those someplace that are, and again, I'm happy for us to post those examples on the Fun with FlutterFlow feed that I created, and to provide some kind of helpful, if that would be useful for you guys, we can do that.
Yeah, definitely. And this is also a custom function that I did for value not empty, because this was actually because FlutterFlow have a check for if value is not empty, but it's not that broad of checking. So here right now I'm checking if the string is not empty, my first check, and the second check is that I'm actually converting the string to a string. But here, this is not actually working the way that I think it should work, because there's some, because Dart it's a strict type language. So what that means is that every time you most of like 99% of the time when you are writing and creating a variable, you need to write what is the type of it. So especially in the FlutterFlow, you cannot just write I want a random a data type. You have to restrict what kind of data type you need. So in my case here, I was thinking that if I have a no, like the integer no, I can just convert it to a string and then check if the string it's actually no. But this actually is the same thing as this one. So this is
Okay.
actually the same thing. But I was thinking if we have the possibility to have random data, because actually, fun fact, Dart is accepting also random types as well. So not a random types, but how to say this, like all kind of types. So there is
Yep.
actually because when you're declaring something, you have to write first the type. So like here, for example, you have the string type, here you have the Boolean type, but you can actually have the var type. I think is the var type. So
Yeah.
if name and then
And that would just be
something,
anything. And then it tries to guess for you what type it is.
and then you can just put whatever type
Yeah.
you want to. So this could be a string, this could be an integer. So this is string, for example, or you can have an integer, and it's just accepting it. It's not the best practice, but you can do it in reality. So that's why I wrote this over here. So if they, for some reason in the future, allow us to just have this type here, you can just put it, and then you can accept a string and you can accept the integer as well. So if you have this code over here, it will work. So and then I'm checking also if it's not null. So that's why I don't have any errors over here. But if I go to the custom widget and go over here, I should get errors over here because I don't accept the no safety. So the best solution over here is when you have the key, because 100% of the custom functions will have keys. So you just need to put the question mark over here. So that means that you're accepting no safety. And here, when you have the width and the height, I think, no, it's not over here. I think
You can
it's
copy
over
the new
here.
boilerplate code, right?
You can, yeah, I think
If you're
so.
me and you
You
don't do it,
should.
it
Yeah, yeah,
will
you're right.
for you.
But it will actually delete all your code, right? Because I
Well, I
have
just
some
copy
code.
and paste the top bit.
Yes, you're right. You can do that, or you can just see it for reference how you can do it. But yeah, you have to just put over here a question mark, and then put over here question mark over here, and then question mark over here. And now uh, it's actually complaining. It's normal because it's not just putting the question marks over here. But the thing is that it would actually complain uh, on the code when you're using those
Exactly. So one
values.
question mark is in the setup, essentially saying that this is possible to be null. And then for everything that you've got a question mark in the setup of your function, action, or widget, you then in the body need to make sure to have something, normally a double question mark, some sort of thing that will handle that situation. So it's going to help you out by highlighting each of these things in red. That's basically saying, okay, this is now where, because you've told me this can be null, this is now where you need to handle that and tell me what to do if it is null. You've told me it can be null. Now tell me what to do if it is null.
Yeah, exactly. So we can just say, I think we can just say equals that one and then be no. I think so, but it's actually complaining about this. And we can just say like that, because the user location cannot be used as a setter because it's final. Yeah, that's okay. Here is just saying that I cannot just say equal to something because this code is not allowed and it's not written to be used like that.
I'm going to interrupt you, Dimitar. We have a question, which is,
Sure.
what is your, and I think you might have a strong opinion on this. What is your opinion on local state in FlutterFlow? I think FlutterFlow should have a full state management by a provider or any other library. I'll give you my my
Sure.
thing first, and then I'll let Dimitar give his coder. So yeah, for me, local state works great, and that's because I'm not a developer, and it does the things that I need to. I have hit a few limitations, just to be transparent. There are, where you start to hit limitations is where you have custom widgets and you're looking to change the state of something, within your widget that you want to be reflected outside of your widget, and you have to kind of do this workaround dance with local state, which now is at least possible because they've allowed you to feed actions in, and you can essentially execute a callback. But yeah, my co-founder, who's a full-on OG coder with 20 years of experience, he finds it very frustrating that FlutterFlow does not have state management. For me personally, not knowing what state management was a year and a half ago, and even then, once I kind of did and I wanted local state and FlutterFlow didn't have local state, I'm really grateful for local state. But in reality, I think it's, for the majority of users and use cases, it won't be an issue. The big thing for me, and especially if we're comparing, well, not to compare, but to, because you mentioned DraftBit has React Query. I think FlutterFlow does actually use, obviously, I think they use some sort of block type state management in the background for certain things. Because you can download your code, you can always add these more advanced features and stuff later. So you're never kind of locked into the lack of state management if you're trying to decide between the two. For me, I don't know, I've built apps for clients. I've built a social money app with, full sort of like banking capabilities without needing it. Would it be great to have it? Yes. Would I know what to do with it on day one? Not necessarily. With my co-founder, yes, of course. With Dimitar, yes, of course. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it. It hasn't been a limiting factor in reality, but it's something that's kind of on my radar, I guess. What's your thoughts, Dimitar?
Yeah, you said it right, I think, and I don't want to go into many details about it, but the thing is that I think and I hope that FlutterFlow is actually, they will actually allow this in the future, and I think it will be. It depends on the app that is actually that you want to build, but I think the local state right now it's a good solution for a couple of things and for a couple of reasons. So yeah, I think if you're not building something very complex, I think you can use the local state. And I think if you're using something complex, as I said like multiple times in the live stream, I'm a API lover, so I would just use the API calls, and they're actually working great for me because I'm using my own backend. I'm using PHP and MySQL, and I can use actually the same code for a website or for an app. So yeah, I think of course, it's definitely there is some room for improvement on the side of FlutterFlow, but they're actually constantly improving. So I hope they can include that in the
speed
future.
of development is and the follow-up question was, can you upload the code back after integrating with, let's say, Redux? Will it work? Actually, ironically, this is something that used to be possible and has now been actually taken away. It used to be possible. You can obviously push your code to GitHub. You could then take it to VS Code or anything like that, make whatever, Android Studio, make any changes. And you used to actually be able to build from GitHub branch. So this was actually kind of something that I really miss because, sorry, my cat. Because yeah, this was kind of our game plan, if you like, was to anything we needed to be more complicated. My co-founder could build stuff and could push it to a special developer branch. And essentially I would still be able to build new stuff without breaking that and build from that specific GitHub branch. I'm hoping that they decide to bring that feature back. I'm guessing it just wasn't used very much. And maybe it was complicated to support or something. So if you're asking, can you write something in with Redux support and put it in? If it's entirely contained within a custom widget, which is sort of defeats the purpose, I guess, of state management, then yes, you could. Otherwise, no, you can't just write something in that way and put it back in directly. So then you would have to be. One thing I would say, I would always recommend FlutLab. FlutLab is a great way to, whoops, would help if I spelled that right. FlutLab, I think it's flutlab.io. It's a great online IDE that you can link your GitHub to, and that makes it kind of nice and easy to have a similar, more visual development type of interface. But yeah, my recommendation always to people is try to build what you want to build and wait until you really hit that brick wall before deciding that you can't do it because of that brick wall. But that's maybe just my personal opinion. Well, it is my personal opinion.
I didn't actually know that they restrict GitHub.
No, they haven't. You can still push to GitHub. You can't build from GitHub. Okay. You used to be able to build any random branch from GitHub.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, but they've taken it away. I don't really know why. So if you want that feature, viewers, ask for it. The more people that ask for it, the more if it's just me, they ignore me.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. I think we should wrap up now. We're like 20 minutes over. But thank you to everyone who joined us and made it through. We hope some of this was useful. And to everyone watching on replay, thank you for joining us. You can always subscribe to our channel and check out some of the links that we posted for things that might be of interest. And we will see you next week.